Hello. Before I get started, I'd like to say beforehand that there's a reason I don't make videos very often, or that I don't make them for a living. It's because I kind of suck at this. I absolutely despise presentations, so I'm going to try and get through this as best I can, but stay with me. Alright, let's start this thing off. For my speech, I chose to talk about the brief history of one of my favorite bands, the GORILLAZ. I'll be talking about the creators of the GORILLAZ themselves, and how they met, and where they got the idea to make their band. I'll also talk about the characters of the band, along with their origins. Next, I'll discuss the vast array of music that the band has produced over the years, along with their most popular songs, albums that have become fan favorites. And finally, I'll be talking about the major influences that the GORILLAZ have made over their long musical careers. The creators of the GORILLAZ, Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett, first came up with the idea of the fictional four-member band when they became roommates in the same apartment in London. Before creating the GORILLAZ, both men were working on their own separate projects. Jamie Hewlett was working on a soon-to-be successful comic, Tank Girl, while Damon Albarn was working with his old British rock band, Blur. Most notable song that they made was Song 2. I'd say at least everyone's heard it once. When the two came to the decision to make their fictional band, they decided that Albarn would be the lead musician and songwriter, while Hewlett would be the artist in charge of the design and storyboard. Many news reporters asked the duo what was the reason that they created their fictional band, and the response that they gave to the reporters was that MTV was getting a little too full of itself, that it lacked substance. And so to fix this, they wanted to create a band that was nothing but substance. Many fans thought that the band got its name from the monkeyish design of the characters, when in reality, when Albarn and Hewlett were asked about it, they simply said that they were both born in the year 1968, which was the year of the monkey. So for that one and lone reason, they named their band Gorilla. It wasn't until a couple years passed, and the band started to pick up more fame, that they added the Z to make it more noticeable, give it more of a flair. Today they keep up with their ever-growing project as Albarn stays the lead musician and provides vocals for the character 2D. Hewlett still works on the characters as well as the overarching story. There are four primary members of the GORILLAZ. I'll start with the original founding member, Murdoch Nichols. He was born on June 6, 1966 in Stoke-on-Trent, England. It has been proposed that his many problems, addictions, and sour attitude was due to the abusive nature of his childhood, and it all started when he was dumped on the doorstep of his father, Sebastian Jacob Nichols. The purpose of Murdoch's design was fairly simple. Hewlett made him to be a nasty, foul creature of a man with gray skin, a long lizard-like tongue, and different colored eyes. One black, one red. An intentional design was for Murdoch to have the appearance of a devil worshipper. An example of this was Murdoch's birth date, which reads as 6-6-66. Now, this, along with the assortment of upside-down crosses that the character carries always, and an actual portal to hell in the basement of Kong Studios, supported the devil-worshipping design of the character. On the other hand, Murdoch is a very talented musician who is very skilled at writing many of the band's songs and plays the bass guitar and drum machine. Now, one day back in 1977, Murdoch had the genius idea to start a band, but unfortunately he didn't have any equipment. So to fix this, he decided to rob a music store. This genius Antichrist lizard man that is Murdoch decided it would be a great idea to drive through the front window of a music shop to steal what he needed. What he didn't know was that there was an employee right in his car's path. Moments passed and the bumper of the car struck the employee right in his face. causing what is known as an 8-ball fracture to the employee's eye. An 8-ball fracture is when the iris of the eye, or the colorful part, fills with blood, and the whole thing just kind of has a blackish appearance. Now, with the 8-ball fracture, along with causing the 8-ball fracture, it also caused him to briefly slip into a coma, which he woke up from soon after, but he was left in a catatonic-like state. Murdoch was immediately caught and sent to prison. And as his community service punishment, he was given the responsibility of looking after the more or less brain-dead man, who would soon become 2D. In another car-related accident with Murdoch and a guard pole, 2D was thrown clear of the car and landed on his head, again. This faceplant caused another 8-ball fracture in his other eye, but somehow brought him out of his catatonic-like state. He stood up moments later with no idea where he was or how he had gotten there. But Murdoch definitely knew where he was going, with him straight to Kong Studios because he now found his lead singer. Oh, there we go. 2D was born May 23rd, 1978 in Crawley, England. His real name, that has been long forgotten, was Stuart Pott, but when he was in school it was shortened to Stu Pott. 2D was given his nickname by Murdoch because of the 2 dents that he now had in his head after his car accidents with Murdoch. 2D was left with a slight visual impairity and some pretty bad brain damage, which leaves him with chronic headaches, which explains why he's gotten crazier over the years. This blue-haired, black-eyed, lanky man was made the lead singer and frontman of the band. Why not Murdoch, you might be asking yourself? Well, it's because Murdoch cannot sing to save his fictional life. I lost my place. Oh, there we go. 2D's damage doesn't just stop at just the accidents or psychological trauma that he suffered from Murdoch alone. He's also been kidnapped a few times, swallowed by a whale, shot at, and he also had to feed on said whale for months when he thought he was marooned on a desert island, when the reality of the situation was he was just a quarter mile from the nearest bar. The nearest bar. This poor boy is truly damaged. 2D has a wide array of musical talent, from not only providing outstanding vocals, but also contributing to his skills on his various instruments, like the melodica, the stylophone, the Donkomatic machine, and his classic Casio keyboard. 2D is not the only skilled member of the band. Russell Hobbs, the third member, became the band's drummer through some pretty unconventional means. Born June 3rd, 1973, he grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Russell was an A+ student going to Xavier School for Young Achievers. One afternoon, he was expelled for attacking several students while being possessed by a demon. After the assault, he fell into a 4-year coma, and the demon was later exorcised, and Russ woke up. Oh, wait. I messed up. After the assault, he fell into a 4-year coma. The demon was later Yep, no, I was right. What happened? My bad. Yes, the demon was later exorcised, and Russell woke up from his coma, to the sight of his family. Unfortunately, he was unable to go back to his school, and had to attend the Brooklyn Public School. It was there where he met his new group of friends, who were all well-versed in the art of hip-hop. One rainy night, Russell's companions were gunned down in a drive-by shooting from a gang wearing red hoods, with one of them in a black hood, who Russell identified as the Grim Reaper himself. He stated that after the shooting, the spirits of his friends merged with his, in addition... they merged with his spirit. There we go. Nailed it. In addition to causing his signature ghostly white eyes, Russell also says that he got his musical abilities from the spirits of his dead friends. Now, the most prominent of the spirits that resides within Russell is the spirit of his best friend, Dale the Ghost Rapper. voiced by Dale the Funky Homo Sapien. After the murder of his friends, Russell was sent to the UK to live with his uncle. Now, he was soon working in a record store called Big Rick Black's Record Shack, working for Big Rick. This is where Russell met Murdoch Nichols for the first time. Murdoch proceeded to ask for an obscure record to distract Russell, and as this was happening, Murdoch threw a bag over Russell's head and kidnapped him to take him to COMM Studios. After seeing the facilities that Murdoch and Tootie had at COMM Studios, he decided to stay and become the band's new drummer. Noodle came to be a part of the band in an even stranger way. Born October 31st, 1990, she spent the first 8 years of her life as a test subject for a classified Japanese super soldier project, under the guidance of her mentor, a Japanese scientist named Mr. Kyuzo. Noodle was the 23rd child in the super soldier project. The goal was to have combat-ready soldiers who could accomplish any mission for the Japanese government. Now then, the government that sought their creation deemed them to be too dangerous and scrapped the project. Mr. Kyuzo was given the task of destroying the research data and eliminating the test subjects. Unfortunately, the doctor didn't have the heart to kill Noodle, so he put her in a state of amnesia in the form of a code phrase that would let him erase and implant fake memories. The phrase being ocean bacon. Mr. Kyuzo falsely reported the death of the 23 test subjects and later smuggled Noodle into the UK inside a FedEx crate. Noodle's crate arrived on the doorsteps of COMM Studios in 1998, the same day that Murdoch Nichols sent out an ad for a new guitar player to replace their current one. Alright. Once the boys brought the crate inside, Noodle burst out of the box and proceeded to perform a guitar solo so wicked, 2D described it as 200 demons screaming in Arabic. Brilliant. She ended her solo with a 20-foot-high karate kick and bowed to the band, saying only one word: Noodle. From that day forward, the other three members of the Gorillaz referred to her as Noodle. With their fourth and final member in count, they were finally complete and ready to rock the world. Now, for a brief time after the Gorillaz' El Mignano video, the character Noodle was replaced by a robotic double called Cyborg Noodle. Murdoch made Cyborg Noodle with the original Noodle's DNA that he had found in the wreckage of the flying windmill. The rest of the band had thought that the original Noodle had died in the crash, but she escaped last minute with a stowed-away parachute. Cyborg Noodle was primarily made to replace Noodle's guitar skills and act as Murdoch's personal bodyguard, with an array of weapons, the most interesting of which was a gun located in her mouth. Picture that. Now, she is seen throughout most of the Gorillaz' Plastic Beach album, and has not been seen again since the album finished, mostly because she and Murdoch were captured by the EMI Records, or the Electronic and Musical Industries, after they had fled the Plastic Beach.